This is 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, I'm Alice.
And I'm Rob.
And this is 6 Minute English. I have to say, Rob, you're looking very smart and sophisticated in your dinner jacket and bow tie.
Oh, thanks, Alice. I'm trying to get into character as James Bond, because that's who we're talking about today.
Ah, James Bond. Probably one of the most famous fictional spies.
Yes, British agent 007 was the smooth spy and hero of the novels by Ian Fleming.
Well, even though Ian Fleming died in 1964, a new Bond book has just been published. But before I tell you more about it, Rob, here's our question today. Do you know the title of the first ever James Bond story that Ian Fleming wrote? Was it A, Diamonds Are Forever, B, From Russia with Love, or C, Casino Royale?
They all sound like old titles, but I'll have a guess at Casino Royale.
OK, well, as usual, I'll tell you the correct answer at the end of the programme. Now let's talk about this new James Bond novel. It's called Carte Blanche.
Carte Blanche. This is the first story about James Bond that's not written by Ian Fleming.
That's right. It's been written by American author Jeffrey Deaver. He normally writes crime novels, but of course he's a big fan of Ian Fleming and started reading his books when he was 8 years old.
Wow, that's quite young to be reading something that's more suitable for adults.
It is. Let's hear what he has to say about his parents encouraging him to read.
Well, my parents had an odd rule in the household. My sister and I could read any book we could get our hands on. Books were good. There were some movies that we were not allowed to see. So I picked up the James Bond books and was captivated with them. So Fleming was always a part of my life as a reader. And when I started writing, which was only a few years later, I modeled my books after his writing.
That was Jeffrey Deaver, who said he was captivated by the James Bond books.
Captivated, so he was hooked on reading about him, especially as he wasn't allowed to watch any films or movies.
And when he started writing, he modelled, copied the style of the books on the writing of Ian Fleming.
So it seems like he's a good choice for someone to write the next Bond book. And it must have been a huge honour for him.
A huge honour. He got the news by text message, but as he says, he didn't take long to say yes.
I remember I was driving down the motorway and my phone buzzed with a text message. And of course, I pulled over and I looked at it and I debated 7-8 seconds and answered that yes, I would. The thrill was unsurpassed. I just can't describe it.
So he got a text message when he was driving. He pulled over and debated it with himself for 7 or 8 seconds. So he discussed it with himself.
Yeah, and then he said yes. He said the thrill, the excitement was unsurpassed. It couldn't be any better.
I'm sure. But Alice, I know the world of James Bond is constantly being reinvented and updated. So how different is this new book from the old ones?
Well, as you know, one of the best things about the Bond stories are the gadgets. And as this is the first book to be set in the 21st century, there are some very up-to-date ones, including an app to help eavesdrop on people.
An app or application used on a smartphone. That sounds great. Anything else?
Yes, there's a gadget for iris recognition. It can check who you are by looking at your eyes.
Spies have always been on the cutting edge of technology. And Bond, he's always outthinking the bad guys. He has to have his gadgets. The trick of if you have to give a message to an agent on the street, and yet you know you're being listened to or observed, you tie your shoelaces in a slightly different pattern, and that will convey the message. I love little things like that.
So Jeffrey says that Bond is always outthinking the bad guys.
So he means he's trying to think beyond what the villains are thinking.
I think so. That's why he said spies are always on the cutting edge of technology. They need them to catch the bad guys.
Well, there aren't many Bond villains I would like to meet anyway, but they are very good to watch in the Bond films.
They are. And of course the Bond film franchise is hugely successful. I wonder if this new book, Carte Blanche, will ever become a film. Anyway, Rob, let's see if you got the correct answer to the question I gave you earlier.
Ah, yes, you asked me what was Ian Fleming's first ever James Bond book, and I said Casino Royale.
And you were right.
Ah.
Casino Royale, first published in 1953. Well done. And before we go, let's hear some of the words and phrases that we've used in today's programme.
Sophisticated. Fictional. Novels. Captivated. Modelled. Debated. Unsurpassed. Eavesdrop. Iris recognition. Outthinking. Cutting edge. Franchise.
Thanks, Rob. Well, we hope you've had fun with us today on 6 Minute English and that you'll join us again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
That was 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.